Good morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss about a very important topic, assessment of fetal well-being in antepartum and intrapartum period. It's very much important topic. Whatever the different disorders associated with the antenatal period, if you think about that, how to manage that, even in the normal ANC, and if it's a complicated ANC, having some medical disorders along with it, some high risk ANC. So each and every topic, this is very important, because how to manage a normal ANC and that to a complicated ANC, you should know about this proper assessment of a fetal well-being. Because whenever we are managing a labor, what we are going to give a result is a safe motherhood. That means a safe mother as well as a safe child. And for this, our monitoring should be very important. So, antenatal fetal surveillance is assessment of fetal well-being in antepartum period to ensure the delivery of a healthy neonate. And the main objective is early detection of a fetus at a risk to prevent perinatal mortality and morbidity. Find out the normal fetuses and avoid unwarranted interventions. And how we are going to do this assessment? So different methods are there. Whenever the patients are coming in OPD, what we are doing is when she comes, we take a weight of that patient. Then when we go for the abdominal examination, in that we know fundal height, we know abdominal girth, and we auscultate the fetal heart sounds. And this is one of that assessment. What else we can do for this assessment is we can ask to keep a fetal movement count a mother. Whenever required ultrasound, we are doing for the fetal bioparameters. Some biochemical tests are there. Then the other tests are non-stress test, vibroacoustic stimulation test, and contraction stress test. Other nipple stimulation test, biophysical profile, Doppler, fetal maturation test, and placental grading. Placental grading we are always doing by USG only. Indication actually it should be done in each and every patient actually, but definitely some high risk ANCs are there, and in that it's very much required. So what are those high risks are like hypertension in pregnancy, diabetes in pregnancy, heart disease in pregnancy, chronic renal diseases, anemia in pregnancy, APLA in pregnancy, some acute illnesses like severe preeclampsia. So in that also it's very much required. So whenever there is a fetal growth restriction, if by a normal ultra examination, if it's showing that there is something, growth is retarded, fundal height is not matching with the gestational age by LMP, so in that definitely you should go for this other test. Then RHI examination, if the fetal cardiac arrhythmias are there, fetal infections are there, definitely you are going to do that. Some more indications are multiple pregnancy, gestational hypertension, preeclampsia, decreased fetal movement, abnormal placentation, placental abruption, amniotic fluid disorders, premature rupture of membrane, gestational diabetes mellitus, previous unexplained stillbirth, then post-term pregnancy also. So actually when to start? Actually you should start from first trimester only. But yeah, more precautions you will take when there will be a past history of adverse outcome. Then severity of a maternal and fetal condition. Generally monitoring is recommended when estimated fetal maturity is sufficient to expect a reasonable chance of survival should intervention be necessary. So clinical assessment, when you are taking a weight, so in that what should be the BMI and what should be the weight in that. So if the weight gain is less than 12.5 kg, so definitely, yeah, it's a worrisome. Then if it is much more, yeah, it is weight gain may be different according to the BMI. So when a normal BMI patient is there, yeah, it should be between 11.5 to 12.5 kg. If it is BMI is very low, so we should expect that weight gain from 12.5 to 18 kg. If the very high BMI is there, yeah, you will expect from 7 to 11.5 kg. Obese patient, yeah, just 7 kg may be sufficient for that. Then when you are noting a fundal height, so how to measure? It should be measured from a superior border, that midpoint of the superior border of pubic symphysis. And you know that in clinics we have already covered that how to measure the gestation age by palpation with your ulnar border, keeping the ulnar border at a height of fundus, and how much difference is acceptable. So the difference of 2 to 3 centimeter is acceptable. Below 10% or difference of more than 4 centimeters such as IUGR. And what's the predictive value of this method? We are taking a fundal height is a positive predictive value of 60% and negative predictive value of 76.8%. Then about abdominal girth, measure at lower border of umbilicus, increases by 2.5 cm per week after 30 weeks. 95 to 100 centimeters at term. Static or falling values, if it's are there, so that will be alarming. So girth should not be static or it should not get decreased. Fetal movement count is also called as cardiac count. A technique is cardiac count 10, a daily fetal movement count that patient should keep. Ideally, how we are advising to keep this fetal movement count is whenever she is taking her meals, maybe it a breakfast, maybe lunch, or maybe a dinner. So after taking her meals, we are advising her to take a rest, and after half an hour of that meal, for the next 1 hour, she will keep a watch on her fetal movements. A complete rotatory movement till 32 weeks. Till 32 weeks, it should be a complete rotatory movement. For one complete rotatory movement, she will mark as 1. And after 32 weeks, it may be just limb movements. And for those limb movements, flexion and extension of that limb, it should be counted as a movement 1. So for that, how much should be the count? So perception of 3 movements in 30 minutes should be there after each meal. Fetus spends 10% of its time making a gross fetal body movements. Periods of active fetal body movements last about 40 minutes. Longest period without fetal movement is about 75 minutes. Mother appreciates 70 to 80% of gross fetal movements. Fetal movement peak between 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. time when maternal glucose levels are falling. Fetal activity does not increases after meals or after maternal glucose administration. So better for this only, better to take after meals. Now how about the ultrasound? Ultrasound for a fetal parameters. Yeah, it should be a high resolution ultrasound. It can be a basic or targeted. Basic means to take up all fetal biophysical parameters, and targeted means to diagnose anomalies. So post ultrasound, it should be done between 10 to 14 weeks, and that includes what it can diagnose: a number of fetuses, whether the fetus is live or not, placental localization, diameter of internal os, and cervical length. It also calculates the gestation age, any mass in the pelvis is there or not. Few anomalies, yeah, definitely it can get diagnosed between 10 to 14 weeks, like anencephaly or reduction of limbs. And it is also important scan between 11 to 13 weeks, we also call as a NT scan. In that, what we look for the knuckle translucency and presence of nasal bone, and that is we are routinely doing in each and every patient nowadays. It is not just for the high risk patient, we are doing for each and every patient. Definitely, if you abnormal conditions, we can easily diagnose. If the CRL is smaller than the gestational age, yeah, some growth problem is there. So earlier we can diagnose. Some chromosomal anomalies, yeah, definitely we can diagnose. And how you are going to diagnose it? I told you that mucal translucency and presence or absence of nasal bone we are looking for during 11 to 13 weeks. And if the absence of nasal bone is there and it is associated with other anomalies, definitely you should think of that, yeah, this fetus must be having some anomalies. Think about a Down syndrome. So you can go for the further test like a double marker test during this NT scan only. And suppose this double marker comes normal, then around 20 weeks you can go for the anomaly scan along with a triple marker test or a quadruple marker test. So in the second and third trimester, the serial measurement of BQD, the circumference, head circumference and fetal length. This will show the fetal biophysical bioparameters. Head circumference, abdominal circumference ratio, is 1 before 32 weeks. So it should, after 34 weeks, it should be below 1. In symmetric IGR, it remains normal. Ratio can identify 85% of IGR fetuses. Fetal length and abdominal circumference ratio, it is also very important. It remains to 22 at all gestational age from 21 weeks to term. If it is more than 23.5, suggest IGR. Abdominal circumference remains the best parameter to detect IGR with positive predictive value of almost 50%. Transcerebral diameter in millimeter corresponds to PUG from 11 weeks to 32 weeks. This is the most important parameter, is amniotic fluid volume. In that, a single deepest pocket more than 2 cm is normal. Or AFI, that is amniotic fluid index, should be between 5 to 25, which is considered as normal. And for taking this AFI, we are taking largest pocket in each quadrant. Suppose you are dividing abdomen in the 4 quadrants. That means right upper, right lower, left upper and left lower. If these 4 quadrants are there, in that each quadrant, at least that largest pocket should be of 2 cm. So suppose each pocket is having a 2 cm, each quadrant is having a 2 cm pocket, it will come to 8. So AFI will be 8, which is considered as normal. Below 8, we are calling it as oligohydramnios. Below 5, it's a severe oligohydramnios. Up to 25, it's a normal. Above 25, we are calling it as a polyhydramnios. Targeted ultrasound. Definitely it should be done in a high-risk patient. In developed countries, offered to all patients. As even if India is now just a developing country, then also most of the cities we are routinely advising a targeted ultrasound around 20 weeks. Shape and internal structures, biparietal diameter, head circumference measures to detect the hydrocephalus or anencephaly. Transverse and longitudinal views of abdomen to rule out the anomalies of stomach, kidneys, bladder, ventral walls. Transverse section of fetal thorax, 4-chamber view of heart. So this is a 4-chamber view of heart. Identify 3 long bones in each limb and any achondroplasia is looked for. Sagittal, coronal and transverse views taken to rule out the spina bifida. Cephalic index here taking biparietal diameter and occipital diameter. In this targeted anomaly scan, we are doing a fetal echo also, and yeah, definitely now this is this is also nowadays it's a routine Previously we used to advise in a high risk